Let's talk about something that sounds like it shouldn't work. Combining super advanced, heavy-duty engineering with the kind of quick sketch you might do on a napkin. We're going to see how a simple, clever shortcut can sometimes be even better than a supercomputer.
All right, first up, a little riddle for you. When you think of welding, you probably picture sparks flying, intense heat, basically melting metal so it fuses together. But what if I told you that you can join two solid plates of, say, high-strength aluminum without ever hitting the melting point? I know, it sounds impossible, but it's totally a thing.
So how do you do it? You stir them. Seriously, it's a process called friction stir welding, or FSW. You take this special rotating tool, plunge it into the seam between two metal plates, and the friction and pressure get so intense that the metal softens up, kind of like a super thick, plasticky fluid. Then the tool just moves along that seam, stirring and mixing the two pieces into one solid weld. No melting required.
Now, here's the catch. As you can probably guess, figuring out the physics of what's happening inside that swirling, hot, but not quite liquid metal is, well, it's incredibly hard. For a long time, as this key paper from 2011 points out, if you wanted to predict what a friction stir weld would do, you needed a supercomputer.
And that complexity was a huge roadblock. I mean, engineers had to deal with these massive, tangled equations for heat flow and how the material was moving around. It meant that trying out new weld designs was slow and super expensive. You basically had to be a big lab with a ton of computing power to even play the game. So what do you do when a problem is that tough? Well, the researchers we're talking about came at it from a completely different direction. Instead of just throwing more and more processing power at it, they asked a different question. What if we could find a shortcut, a simpler way to get a really good answer just by being clever with the physics?
And that brings us to the hero of our story today, the back-of-the-envelope calculation. Now, this doesn't mean it's sloppy or lazy. It's actually a really elegant way to do engineering. It's all about boiling a problem down to its most essential parts to build a simple model that gets you a fast, useful, and as we'll see, a shockingly accurate answer, without needing a room full of servers.
To pull this off, they zeroed in on the four things that every engineer working on this stuff really cares about. 1, how fast is the metal moving around? 2, what's the hottest it gets? 3, how much force or torque does it take to turn that tool? And 4, this is the big one, how strong is the weld when it's all done? So, the big question is, how in the world do you simplify something that chaotic? How do you look at that swirling vortex of hot metal and turn it into something you can solve on your laptop?
Okay, their first idea was just brilliant. To figure out how the material was flowing, they just decided to stop thinking about it as a solid at all. Instead, they imagined it was a thick, goopy liquid, kind of like molasses, being stirred by a simple spinning disk. By doing that, they could borrow an existing solution from a whole different field, fluid dynamics.
And the difference is just night and day. On the one hand, you've got the old way, wrestling with these insane equations that take forever to run. On the other, you have this new, simple model. And the wildest part? The paper shows that the answers you get from the simple model look almost identical to the ones from the supercomputer. It's a massive shortcut with almost no penalty. They took a similar approach for temperature. They didn't start from scratch. They found a formula that was already out there, one that connects the energy you're putting in with the peak temperature the weld reaches. Then they just made it a whole lot better by feeding it a ton of new real-world data that had just been published.
And what's really slick is how these simple models all work together. See, if you want to figure out the torque, that twisting force, you just follow these 3 easy steps. First, use your simple temperature model to guess the peak temperature. Then, you can figure out how soft the metal gets at that temperature. And once you know that, you can calculate the force needed to stir it. It's just a beautiful, logical domino effect.
Okay, so the theory is elegant, the models are nice and simple, but here it is, the moment of truth. The question every engineer is asking, does any of this actually work? Do these little back-of-the-envelope guesses hold up when you compare them to actual real-world experiments?
Let's look at the results. For peak temperature, they're amazing. The simple model's predictions are just incredibly close to what was actually measured in the lab. The paper says they were off by only 3 to 9%. For a model this simple, that is an absolutely insane level of accuracy.
And the news for torque is just as good. Once again, their simplified estimates match up beautifully with the experimental data. And not just for aluminum, but for super tough titanium alloys too. So yeah, the shortcuts are definitely working.
But now we come to the most mind-blowing claim of all. Is it really possible to predict the final, physical strength of the finished weld just by knowing its chemical makeup? Like just by plugging in its recipe of copper, magnesium, and whatever else into a formula? That sounds a little too good to be true.
And yet, the answer is yes. Just look at this table. For this 7050 alloy, the real-world tests got a hardness somewhere between 108 and 124. The formula predicted 117, smack dab in the middle. For the 2024 alloy, the experiment got 150, the formula said 148. This is exactly what engineers dream of, a simple tool that reliably predicts a super important property of the material.
So let's step back. What does all this really mean? Why is being able to trade a supercomputer for a spreadsheet such a massive deal? Well, it's because this approach isn't just about being simple, it's about being powerful and incredibly practical.
And this really gets to the spirit of their work. They didn't just write up their findings and move on. No, they released their models as actual tools that people could use, simple programs and even Excel spreadsheets, so that any engineer anywhere in the world could have access to them.
So when you put it all together, the benefits are just huge. The calculations are way faster. You don't need a supercomputer anymore. Powerful design tools are now available to pretty much everyone. And on top of all that, the answers you get are still remarkably accurate.
In the end, that's why this is so important. By making a really complex problem simple, this work essentially democratizes the science behind it. It lets more people, more companies, more students experiment and innovate, which speeds up the pace of research and development for everybody.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question. In this age of AI and massive computing clouds, this research proves there's still incredible power in just being clever and simple. It really makes you wonder, what's the next huge problem out there that's just waiting for the right shortcut, ready to be solved on the back of an envelope?